So, good evening to all of you. I again welcome to all of you to Amit's and IAS Academy. And as in my earlier video, I discussed about the four topics of essay briefly. In fact, I will be also sharing with you some detailed analysis also on those essay topics. So, now I'm going to discuss with all of you the next four essay topics of section B, which was conducted today only in the morning. So let me start with the essay number 5. Now the fifth essay is on culture. Now culture is what we are, civilization is what we have. Now very interesting topic, actually this has been asked in the essay. Why? Because we need to understand about the difference between culture and civilization, then only we will be able to appreciate this particular topic. See, culture is exactly how do we live in and how do we dress ourselves, what all we eat, how do we speak, how do we behave, how do we interact with the other natural elements in our environment. Alright, so whatever we do, in fact, as a human being, as a human community, that is actually a part of culture. Now, when we talk about civilization, civilization is actually a mature phase of culture. And when you say a mature phase of culture, it simply indicates a couple of things. One, that it must be having a standard of writing, a style of writing to express about the nitty-gritties about every or any culture. Second, it must be having a long span of the existence of a culture in a particular locality that actually makes that culture as a part of civilization. And a very important example to distinguish between these two words is that what we had as a part of the Indus Valley civilization or Harappan culture. Now we say that it was a civilization basically. Indus Valley civilization, isn't it? Or Harappan civilization in that manner. But when we enter into the, let's say, the era of Vedic period, now in the era of Vedic period, we don't say Vedic civilization. We say Vedic culture. And why? It is precisely due to the art of writing. Now, the art of writing was not in existence during the time of the Vedic period. It actually developed only after the Vedic era, in fact. Therefore, the Vedic literature was based upon the Smritis and Shrutis, in fact. Alright. So, that is how we differentiate between the two words, that is culture and civilization. Now, the point is how to explain this particular topic, that is, culture is what we are and civilization is what we have. So, the point is, what do we exchange in our society? How do we behave? How do we interact with the other people in our society? That is actually a part of our culture. And what we have inherited, what we have got from the past, what we have got from our ancestors, that is actually a part of civilization. So in this context only, we have to exemplify this particular topic. And here you have to write about everything, in fact. Right from the historical underpinnings, you have to write about the political development that took place in India, especially during the British rule, because Britishers ruled over India by indicating that we are on civilizing mission. If you remember, there was a very famous British scholar, Rudyard Kipling. Rudyard Kipling once remarked about that British East India Company, they were on civilizing mission to actually colonize the countries of Asia and Africa. So this what actually was a belief system among the Westerners about the Occidentalist, in fact. Alright. So it was basically the Occidentalist versus Orientalist. So Orientalist, of course, the Eastern civilization, and the Occidentalist, of course, the Western civilization basically. So in the context of that only, we have to narrate that yes, in the political development also, what all we learned through our freedom struggle, that we have to write about in our essay, that is a part of civilization. Then similarly, we have to also write about, let's say, the economic aspect, in fact, here, that how do we conduct trade, how do we conduct business, how do we conduct, let's say, economic activities. That is also, we have learned it from our civilization, that we have to be nature friendly, we have to be promoting the idea of sustainable development, in fact. So sustainable development might have become today a global norm, but this actually has been a practice right from our ancient time itself, in fact. All right. So this is how we have to explain about this idea, in fact. Then similarly, we have to explain this idea in the context of also conducting India's foreign policy with the other countries in the world. We have to also use this idea in terms of how the international relations are also shaped on the basis of the so-called civilization. All right, so now we are actually promoting the so-called, in fact, the Arabian trade relationship, the trade relationship through the sea waters, in fact. And if you remember, the government of India has launched also Sagar initiative, isn't it? So this is something that is in the context of what? Is the context of promotion of the same culture that was there right from the ancient time, having a trading relationship. Now that civilizational touch or linkages between different civilizations of the world should be again revived by the government of India and Project Mawsum. Of course, that's what you have to write about here also as an example over there, isn't it? So exactly on these lines only we have to narrate about this particular topic. Fine. So in detailed analysis, I'll do it again in my other video, in fact. But let's take up the next topic, in fact. The next topic, the sixth topic, that is very interesting again. That is, there can be no social justice without economic prosperity, but economic prosperity without social justice is meaningless. Now, it is a perfect topic in the context of the idea of developmental economics. It is a topic that we discuss also whenever I take the classes of economy, especially the chapter of growth and development. I do mention about that there is a difference between growth and development. This topic is about the same particular idea. That what is the idea? Idea is that growth does not ensure development, in fact. It does not ensure development, and that's what actually we have to keep in mind. That yes, you need growth, but beyond growth, you also have to promote the element of social justice and good governance to actually ensure development. In the context of that only, this idea has to be narrated, in fact. Social justice without economic prosperity, of course, it's difficult, because you can't do social justice without having economic prosperity. Why? Because you need to understand, if you don't have resources, how would you be able to distribute the resources among those who do not have anything? So obviously it is needed that if haves are there, the haves must be having the resource to distribute among the have-nots. That's the reason why we need economic prosperity. That's the reason why that we need GDP growth, a growth of the economy, in fact. But at the same time, economic prosperity without social justice is meaningless, because in that way you are promoting height of inequality. Of course, there would be a rise in poverty. There would be a high element of inequality in a society. So in that manner, of course, you are promoting what? You are promoting social tension in the society. You are promoting economic disparity in the society. You are promoting even political differentiation in the society. So in that way, of course, economic prosperity without social justice is absolutely meaningless. Therefore, you have to write about the concept of inclusive growth over here. Inclusive growth. All right. So inclusive growth, or sabka saath, sabka vikas with sabka viswas, which actually today has become the idea of even Samavesh, that has been narrated by Niti Aayog recently. Fine. That's what you have to talk about in this topic. Fine. Now let us discuss the next two topics. That is topic number 7. 7 is patriarchy is the least noticed yet the most significant structure of social inequality. Another very interesting topic. Why very interesting topic? Because patriarchy is found everywhere, but it is it is least recognized everywhere. So in our family also patriarchy exists. In everywhere patriarchy exists, and of course it's a part of a topic of social issues. Definitely the people who belong to let's say sociology background, or maybe the background of background, or it's a sociology, particularly social background, for them it must have been the most favorite topic. But you have to write about it. Yes, the patriarchy does exist in a society because of various factors. All right, factors like, of course, traditional, historical, fine, geographical also at times, economic, political, social. These all factors have been responsible behind the promotion of patriarchy. However, it has least been addressed, least been you can say noticed, but it is actually the most significant part of structure of social inequality. So definitely we don't have the let's say the women empowerment in our country till the time patriarchy is not actually addressed, or the patriarchy because the cycles are not broken down. So exactly in that context only we have to explain this idea. And I remember we have conducted a mains test series recently. We had given this particular topic in our mains question. One of the questions was on this particular topic itself, that we have, let's say, the patriarchy everywhere, but matriarchy not everywhere, in fact. All right. So matriarchal society is something that is, of course, not found in our country. All right. Not only in country but across the world also. That's exactly the point. So in that context, only you have to write about this particular topic. So there are a lot of you can say, concepts, examples, illustrations in this topic to explain this idea extensively, in fact. And since nowhere it is written about India, so you are free to write the international examples also in this particular topic. That is the importance of writing this particular essay. Last topic is